favourite species wise, got to be Zander really. Used to be pike, but these days it's Zander, and it's River 7 that's really changed my fishing over the years. I suppose it's mainly due to going out catching them on canals and only ever catching small Zander, you know. And probably 2 years ago now, I gave a friend of mine, Tim, up. I knew him before we started fishing together. And he runs a business in Upton, 7 Expeditions. He catches quite a few big Zander and whatnot. So I gave him a phone call and asked him to take me out one day, and that's what we did. And I was lucky enough that the first trip we went out, I managed to catch a couple of doubles. From having doubles on canals to catching them on the river is totally different. People say Zander don't fight. Well, on the river they do, you know. I just really there's something about them that captivates me, and I just absolutely love fishing for them. And in the space of a few years, you know, we've had huge success, catching lots of numbers, and but some quite special fish as well, really. One in particular that stands out the most. And so if I go back a couple of seasons, we had a really good run of big Zander. We had something like 27 double figure Zander to the boat, all on lures. And then the following season, I was full of confidence, couldn't wait to get out. And the times that we did get out, the river wasn't really as you'd like it to fish for these Zander, and I'd struggled. And it was fair to say that I struggled all season. I lost no end of big fish. I knew they were big fish, got them to the boat, seen them, lost them, had issues setting the hooks in them, fishing Texas, Carolina rigs, and I just couldn't hook into anything. It was just one of them things where nothing was going right. And then by the end of the season, it destroyed me. It really destroyed me, you know, and I'd sort of, every time I'd head out onto the river, I just wasn't confident. Oh, I'm going to go and lose another big fish and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully, it was about a week before the season closed, and we had really low temperatures, loads of snow, and it just wasn't right at all. We'd been out and we'd struggled, and it was running clear. Even though with all this snow before the melt off, it was clear and very cold. It was some of the coldest, you know, it's ever been. Just down the road on Ross and Wye was freezing over at one point. And yeah, we come along and decided to go out for another go, and we set out in the morning, and it was bitterly cold, and because it was so cold we didn't go too far, and we just kind of sat around Upton on 7. We caught a few other small fish. I think Tim had a double that day, and that was it really. And then what we did was we went out the following day, fished the same conditions again, and really struggled again. And then thankfully I got that hit that I've been waiting for, and it was just in front of the pub outside on the main flow of the river. And there used to be a big snag there, but with all the recent floods, it's washed away now, it's gone. And we were vertical fishing. Because it was so cold, we just didn't think that the fish would be interested in chasing anything, and we were using one of these. And 28 gram jig head, just vertical fishing off the side of the boat. And then, much to my surprise, I got this whack. And I knew instantly it was a big fish. It was one of them thuds, you know, whack, and the rod tip goes over and your heart skips a beat. And I'm into this fish and I'm playing this fish, and when I'd hooked it, I was like, knew it was a big one, but I thought it was a pike. I didn't quite understand what was going on. It wasn't behaving like a Zander. Usually when you hook them, they come virtually straight up, but this thing was just holding depth. Anyway, this fish hits the surface, and I knew instantly it was my PB fish. My previous PB to that was a 14.8 that I caught right down towards Tewkesbury way. During the summer anyway, this thing wasn't particularly long, but it was very wide and quite fat. And I knew I'd got my PB that day. It was such a relief. I was overjoyed, you know. And that capture will stay with me forever because of the work that I'd put in all the way up to the start of that, to the end of the season, to have nothing, you know, a few little fish. And to get that one right at the end of the season was just the icing on the cake.